Today, we're discussing the most notorious criminals to ever be on the FBI's most wanted list. And as a fair warning, this video gets crazy, and you're definitely gonna recognize some names on this list. Thomas James Holden was the first criminal ever to be on the FBI's most wanted list, and is very likely one of the reasons why this list was even invented in the first place. Thomas was a career criminal and started his life of crime long before the FBI's most wanted list was even established. In 1926, James Holden and his partner, Francis Keating, led the Holden-Keating gang. This gang specifically specialized in committing robberies. And they weren't your old-timey purse snatcher. They were robbing banks, hijacking trucks full of money, and even held up trains, among other things. Although this gang's reign of terror didn't last long, as 2 years later, in 1928, Holden and his partner were sentenced to 25 years in prison. Although after only serving 2 years, he escaped from prison and immediately started a new gang, where once again his career continued, and he was robbing trains, buses, and banks up until 1931 when he was captured again. After his capture in 1931, Holden served time in Alcatraz and was later paroled in 1947. But of course, that's not where the story ends. In 1949, 2 years after being released from prison, Holden murdered not only his wife, but also 2 of her relatives during a domestic dispute. After committing these murders, he fled the state, and it was this horrific crime that earned him a spot on the first ever FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list, which was officially released a year later in 1950. Holden was caught only a year later in Oregon, working a normal job and using a fake name. And after his trial, he was convicted of murder later that year. Holden died only a few years later while in prison. James was undoubtedly a horrible person, but I find this story interesting because his life of crime started long before the FBI's most wanted list. And it was partly his actions along with the actions of other career criminals that inspired the FBI to make a most wanted list, to get support from the public. And immediately after this first list was published, its usefulness became instantly obvious, as it took less than a year for the FBI to find Holden after murdering his wife and 2 other men.